The idea of having it vertical is I don't have much actual bench top space left really. So I can have it vertical and put alongside a workbench. It then saves me a bit of space, especially if it's only just wider than the router with a stop on the side. It should be quite cool. There's a phrase that my dad uses that I absolutely hate, and that is that time is money. But he is kind of right, especially when you do something like I do, or like he does, where you're kind of doing small batches of production. And here is a perfect example of that. I make lots and lots of handles. I'm just developing a new one for gooseberries, which I'll talk about another time. And what I want to do is make the end of the handles round. It's a really simple operation that doesn't take very long. But what I want to do is have it so I don't have to reset a router every time I do it. Or what I've been doing is sanding it by hand, which takes longer. So what I want to do is have a dedicated little mini router table. I can drop a handle down, turn it round, and round off the end, or do it on the flat. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm thinking about maybe having this one vertically mounted. So there'll be a bit of experimentation going on. So, seems extravagant, but it's not really. I've bought myself another one of these little Makita trimmers. I've already got one in this little router table, which I have dedicated to just rounding over. So that's always set, it's always right. Really quick for me to get out, really quick for me to use. And I want this to be the same. I want to be able to do this without having to set anything up. It's 100 quid for the router. It's not huge amounts of money. Have treated myself to a no volt release switch. I like to be safe, so I can hit the stop should I need to. That's 30 quid. And there's a little bit of a router plate. That's about 15 quid, so just a bit of aluminium. And we got some scrap supply. We're going to make ourselves a little mini router table with a jig in there so I can round over handles. Simple as that. It's just something to make my job easier. Yes, it may seem extravagant to some people. If you're doing this professionally and you make it lots of times, it suddenly becomes a lot more viable to have dedicated tools for it rather than setting stuff up and making sure it's just right. So this could stay as this, it can be used, and it could just be left left to one side when I'm not using it. So that's the plan. I do really love these little Makita router trimmers. So they're the same as my cordless one as well. So everything kind of fits, everything's universal. We'll fit this with the plate, and we can set the height then to what we want. So let's take the base off and we'll swap it round. Okay, so that is a little square there now. The same size as this, or roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Into a nice bit of birch face ply. What I've got is this lovely little base plate for one of my other trimmers, made by FC Tools. Big shout out to Frank, who makes some really nice stuff out of aluminium. And I've got a guide bush in there, and the distance between that blade and the edge of the guide bush is 11mm, right? So that will cut me a hole in that 11mm smaller than the plate. And then what I've got is a rebate cutter, and the distance between that bearing and the edge of there is 11mm. So what hopefully will happen is I'll run that then on the inside, and we will get ourselves a perfect size for this. Shall we see if it works? Shall we see if I delete all this and never show you? So no dust extraction. It's a pain on this little router, to be honest with you. Hold your breath time. I'll put the air scrubber on in a second, which filters the air in the workshop. So, and I'll wear a mask, which you won't be able to see. So, still see it. So the radius of the rebate bit is a little bit different to the radius that we've got on the end of our aluminium. I'm just going to cut that, we'll chop that out with a carving chisel. Beautiful. Quite pleased with that. It's an easier way of doing it than I did on my other video, I think, where I made kind of like a jig and do it that way. But there's lots of different ways you can do it. That works quite nice. I'll get some proper bolts at another time. These are going to be some screws, which are going to be too long, but they'll do the job for now. This router can go in there now. So we have it so it hangs on the shelf of this, and then a clamp goes at the top. It can be taken off easily. Yeah, that'll work. It can be tucked out the way, and it can work as a bit of an extension on the table, which wouldn't be a bad thing. That's there. Let's rip this down. Another 2-inch strip. Okay, that's the basic box of it made. Now what I need to do is make the little jig to hold a bit of handle. So I need to find a bit of handle. It's raining outside, I'll go grab a piece. And yeah, just make something that I can drop it into. More more complicated. That's cool. Okay, next thing is to make it so a bit of handle can go in there, spin round on the bearing, and round over, and a little bit of a guard so that I don't catch my leg on it. So, look at that. 10mm, left on a bit of wood, and we'll make like a little cradle for it. On the bandsaw. A slight lip to set the bit back ever so slightly. Let's try again with another one. There we go. So go on the side of my bench, not taking up any worktop, and I can sit here or stand and do a load of handle ends when I've got a batch of handles to do. So that's kind of perfect. It's kind of just what I was looking for. Yeah, having a dedicated router to it maybe seem a little bit decadent, but it just means I haven't got to set something up each time. I had to make a jig anyway, so adding a router and a no bolt release switch, it's not a huge expense. Obviously could do so on a few scoops to pay for it, but it makes it a bit safer, a bit nicer for me. Yeah, dead simple little router table, vertical router table for one purpose. Won't be as useful as this router table, which I use every single day pretty much, just to round over. It's got a little 1/4 inch round over on there, and I just take that out, run stuff through it, chuck it back there. It's great for dust extraction as well. This little router table has been invaluable. So I was tempted to make another one of those, but obviously I'd have to get it in and out each time. But we'll see how we get on with this one now. But yeah, let's make some handles. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.